What if I told you the hardest part about building a 350-pound, 140-degree wellness cabin right in your living room isn't actually assembling the heavy wooden panels.
Right.
It's actually the fact that simply plugging the thing into the wall might completely fry your home's electrical grid.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is how the home sauna market has just absolutely exploded in the last few years. I mean, it used to be this luxury reserved for, massive mansions or high-end gyms.
Exactly.
But now it's highly accessible. The problem is the learning curve for the average consumer has gotten incredibly steep.
Which is exactly why you're here and why we're doing this. Welcome to today's deep dive. We are looking at a product that promises absolute luxury for you at home, but it hides a few pretty big secrets in its spec sheet.
Oh, definitely.
We are unpacking the Dynamic Saunas Lugano 3-person FR Infrared Sauna, and our sources for this deep dive include a highly detailed product listing directly from Wayfair and a really comprehensive review blog post that frankly cuts right through the marketing fluff.
It's a great data set to work with, honestly. It forces us to look past the shiny, retouched photos and actually examine the engineering. Navigating the specifications of these units, things like EMF ratings, the types of infrared waves, and even the wood thickness. It's a total minefield if you don't know the science.
All right, let's clear that minefield right now.
Yeah.
Because looking at the raw specs, the Lugano is not some small pop-up piece of fabric you just toss in a closet.
Not at all.
Physically, you are looking at a substantial indoor rectangular cabin. It's built from 100% natural reforested Canadian hemlock wood.
That's a heavy wood, too.
Very heavy.
Yeah.
It weighs in at 350 pounds, and it stands about 6 feet 2 inches high, 5 feet wide, and 4 feet 7 inches deep.
You are essentially building a specialized micro room inside your existing house. And, the way this micro room operates is completely different from what most people picture when they hear the word sauna.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because my mind immediately goes to, a dark, hot rock cave where you're ladling water and choking on a thick cloud of steam.
Right. The traditional Swedish style.
Exactly. But the Lugano isn't that at all. It's a light wave heat cabin.
Yeah. That is the fundamental difference highlighted across all our sources. If you go to a traditional steam sauna, it relies on convectional heat.
Meaning it heats the air.
Exactly. It uses electricity to superheat a pile of rocks. Those rocks heat the air inside the room, and then that incredibly hot air eventually heats your body from the outside in.
Which honestly can be so suffocating. I know I struggle to breathe in those traditional saunas after just a few minutes. The air just feels way too heavy.
It's a really common complaint. I mean, the physical mechanism of breathing in 180-degree air is just tough on the lungs. But the Lugano uses FR infrared carbon panels instead.
And those don't heat the air.
Not primarily, no. Instead of heating the air, these panels generate heat as light waves. These specific wavelengths of light pass through the air and penetrate your skin, heating your body directly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the ambient air around you gets warm, sure, but the primary heat transfer is happening straight from the light waves to your tissue.
So it's essentially bypassing the middleman. It doesn't need to cook the air to cook you.
Precisely. And the why it matters to you, the listener, really comes down to efficiency and comfort. FR infrared saunas, like the Lugano, take only about 10 to 15 minutes to heat up.
Which is fast.
Really fast. A traditional sauna can take nearly an hour. Furthermore, the Lugano maxes out at a much more tolerable ambient temperature of about 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
Which honestly sounds low for a sauna, but the sources emphasize that you actually sweat significantly more in this infrared setup.
You do. And it's because of how deep the heat penetrates. The light waves push past the epidermal layer, raising your core temperature from the inside. It's a completely different physiological experience than just sitting in a hot room.
Okay, so that brings us to the actual technology making that happen. The Lugano is equipped with 9 FAR infrared carbon heating panels. And the sources make a really specific point to note that these panels operate between 6 and 12 microns.
Right.
Why does that specific number matter? I mean, why 6 to 12?
This is where the physics gets really interesting. That specific band of 6 to 12 microns aligns almost perfectly with the resonant frequency of water molecules.
Okay, wait. Resonant frequency.
Yeah, so since the human body is primarily made of water, when those specific light waves hit us, they cause our water molecules to vibrate. That vibration creates deep cellular friction, which is what actually generates the heat.
That is Fascinating.
If the micron level was too high or too low, the light waves would basically just bounce off us or pass right through without transferring that energy.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. They're essentially tuning the light to match our biology, but that raises another technical question that the sources lean heavily into. They proudly state that the Lugano has a low EMF rating of 8. Now, as a consumer trying to build a healthy habit, how do I know if an EMF rating of 8 is actually good, or if it's just some clever marketing jargon?
It is a vital question for daily users. So EMF stands for electromagnetic field. Any electrical appliance, your microwave, your phone, your laptop, they all generate an EMF.
Right.
And in the wellness community, there's ongoing research regarding long-term exposure to high levels of EMFs, specifically concerning cellular stress.
So lower is better.
Always.
Yeah.
The sources clarify that a rating of 8 means these panels emit between 5 and 10 milligauss when measured a few inches away.
Okay, milligauss. That still sounds like a total science fiction term to me. Give us an explain it, like, I'm 5 baseline. How does that compare to my living room right now?
Fair enough. So for context, just sitting in a normal room in a modern house with standard wiring and appliances exposes you to a baseline of about 1 to 2 milligauss. So sitting right next to the Lugano's heater at 5 to 10 milligauss is slightly higher than your baseline room exposure. However, compared to older sauna models or cheaper competitors that can literally blast you with over 100 milligauss, 5 to 10 is practically nothing.
Wow, okay. That's a huge difference.
It really is. It is considered to be on the much, much lower end of the spectrum, making it a very safe bet for a daily wellness routine.
I really appreciate that breakdown. You definitely don't want your wellness device secretly blasting you with a massive electromagnetic field.
Definitely not.
Now, beyond the tech, the physical build of this thing is, well, here's where it gets really interesting for me. We mentioned it's made of Canadian hemlock, but the sources highlight that the walls use 6mm interior and exterior planks wrapped around a 1.75-inch inner frame.
The thermodynamics of that design are incredibly impressive. Dynamic Saunas claims this specific construction makes their walls 40% thicker than other competing brands.
Which isn't just to make the delivery guys miserable, right?
No.
It's entirely about insulation.
It is. Thicker walls retain significantly more heat. If you have thin, flimsy walls, the heat just bleeds out into your basement. With Lugano's thicker hemlock, the internal heating panels don't have to work nearly as hard to maintain that 140-degree temperature.
So that saves you real electricity over the lifetime of the unit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, hemlock is naturally antimicrobial and highly resistant to warping.
Which is exactly the kind of wood you want in a hot, sweaty box that you plan on using every single day. Oh. You do not want to be dealing with mold or a rotting floorboard a year down the line.
Ugh, absolutely not.
And speaking of the floor, the Lugano doesn't just stop at wall heaters. It tries to create a full spa experience. So it includes built-in Bluetooth and an FM radio for audio. It has chromotherapy, which is colored LED lighting, and it features foot reflexology floor heaters.
Yeah, the floor heaters are a brilliant mechanical addition. A major flaw in a lot of home saunas is that heat naturally rises, right?
Right, obviously.
Yeah. So that leaves your head sweltering while your toes are freezing down at the bottom. By putting reflexology heaters specifically on the floor, they are improving the heat distribution from the ground up.
That's smart.
It is. And it targets the pressure points in your feet to stimulate overall blood circulation.
Okay, I totally buy the floor heaters. That's practical. But I have to push back on the chromotherapy lights.
Oh, the colored LEDs.
Yeah. The marketing claims that different colors of LED light can fundamentally influence your mood and health. As someone who reads a lot of these health claims, I have to ask, is this real science? Or is this just wellness fluff to sell more units?
It's a very fair skepticism. The theory behind chromotherapy is that different wavelengths of visible light can affect circadian rhythms or psychological states like, blue light promoting alertness or red light promoting relaxation.
Sure, we hear that a lot with screen time.
Right. But if we are being rigorous here, the clinical data for a few colored LEDs in a sauna having a profound medical impact is incredibly sparse, especially when you compare it to the hard, proven thermodynamics of the infrared heat we just discussed.
So it's basically just a very nice mood light.
Exactly. It creates a great ambiance, which helps you relax mentally, but it isn't a medical treatment.
Good to know. What is highly practical, though, is how you actually control the unit. You aren't just sitting in there passively. The Lugano features dual control panels, one on the inside and one on the outside. Plus, it comes with a remote control and an auto shut-off timer.
That dual setup is fantastic for the user experience. It means you can hit a button on the remote to start preheating the cabin while you're across the room, tying your shoes or finishing a workout.
That's super convenient.
Right. And once you're inside, you can adjust the temperature or change the audio without having to stand up, open the door, and let all the heat out.
And if you happen to be so relaxed that you doze off, that auto shut-off timer ensures you don't accidentally slow cook yourself.
Yeah, a very necessary built-in safety fail-safe.
So we've established it's a solid piece of tech with great heat retention, but bringing a commercial-grade heater into a residential space creates some unavoidable friction points. Let's get into the real-world pros and cons.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, no product is perfect, and setting up a 350-pound wooden cabin in your house comes with realities we really need to address.
Absolutely. So starting with the major pro, which is consistently highlighted across the technical specs and the reviews, it's that outstanding heat distribution.
Yes, between those 9 carbon panels wrapping the walls and the reflexology heaters on the floor, you get an incredibly even sweat.
And another significant pro is its rectangular footprint. A lot of home saunas are built as corner units, which drastically limits where you can install them. The Lugano can sit flat against any long wall in a basement, a garage, or a spare bedroom.
But this brings us to the massive caveat that you teased at the very beginning. This is the major con, and it's essentially an electrical trap for the unwary buyer.
Yes. You cannot just buy this cabin, drag it into your spare room, and plug it right into the wall. It does not use a standard electrical outlet.
No, and this catches an astonishing number of people off guard. A standard U.S. household electrical outlet is 15 amps. The Lugano has a 2,400-watt power draw.
Which is huge.
Massive. So to run safely, it requires a dedicated 120-volt 20-amp outlet and its own independent breaker in your electrical panel.
It's marketed as easy assembly, but needing to hire an electrician to run a dedicated line is like buying a plug-and-play TV and realizing you need to rewire your living room before you can turn it on.
That is a perfect analogy.
The sources point out that hiring an electrician for this specific upgrade is going to cost you anywhere from an extra $150 to $500, depending on the layout of your house and how far your breaker box is from the sauna room. You absolutely have to factor that into the true cost of this product.
It is an absolute non-negotiable reality of the physics here. If you try to use an adapter and run this on a standard 15-amp circuit, you will continuously trip your breaker, and worse, you could literally melt the wiring inside your walls and create a severe fire hazard.
Yikes, so it really needs that dedicated high-capacity power flow.
Unquestionably.
Now, the other big con we need to discuss is what I'm calling the 3-person myth.
Yes, this is a very common marketing stretch in the sauna industry. The Lugano is explicitly marketed and sold as a 3-person sauna.
Right, it's right there in the name.
But, however, if we look at the physical reality of the interior dimensions inside the cabin, it is 5 feet 8 inches high and 4 feet 9 inches wide.
Just 4 feet 9 inches of total bench space.
Correct. If you put 3 average-sized adults on a bench that is 4 feet 9 inches wide, they're going to be completely squashed, thigh to thigh, shoulder to shoulder.
Oh man, that would be incredibly claustrophobic, especially when you factor in the intense heat and the sweating.
Exactly. Nobody wants to be rubbing sweaty shoulders with 2 other people in a hot wooden box.
Functionally, as the sources point out, this is a highly comfortable 2-person sauna, or an incredibly luxurious 1-person sauna where you can put your feet up on the bench and stretch out. But calling it a 3-person unit is a serious stretch of the imagination.
And tying directly into that comfort level, there's another structural limitation to be aware of. Because those incredible carbon heating panels cover almost all of the interior walls to give you that great, even heat distribution, it means there's almost nowhere to comfortably lean back.
Because you'd be leaning directly against a hard wooden grate that is covering a 140-degree heater.
Exactly. It's not a smooth, ergonomically contoured wooden backrest. The reviews highly recommend that if you buy this unit, you should immediately go and purchase separate, ergonomic, wooden backrest accessories.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that way you can actually sit back and relax without pressing your spine right against a hot grate.
That is a phenomenal tip for anyone taking the plunge. And speaking of the people who actually bought this, let's look at what real customers are saying about the Lugano. Overall, the sentiment is overwhelmingly positive.
Very much so.
On Wayfair, it holds a 4.8 out of 5-star rating across 158 reviews. That is a really solid consensus for a piece of heavy machinery. But I want to look at how this actually plays out when a delivery truck drops a massive pallet in someone's driveway.
Right, the aggregate score is great, but the specific, messy, real-world stories are what give us the true picture of owning this thing.
And some of those stories are pretty funny. There is this recurring quirk during the assembly process that multiple buyers pointed out.
Oh, the manual.
Yes. People would receive these massive heavy boxes, unpack all the beautiful hemlock wood, and then spend hours tearing their garage apart looking for the instruction manual. As it turns out, the manufacturer hides the manual inside the top roof panel, underneath a wooden sheet that you actually have to unscrew first just to find it.
A truly bizarre packaging choice that caused a lot of unnecessary panic. I mean, who does that?
Right. But the consensus is that once they finally found those instructions, the assembly itself, which mostly uses specialized buckles to snap the heavy panels together, is reported to be quite straightforward for two people.
Yeah, we see reviews like Miranda from Virginia, who noted that the sauna fits perfectly in her home gym. She explicitly mentioned that while the 20-amp plug was a massive hassle that they had to hire out, the final result of the deep daily sweat was entirely worth the effort and the extra money.
It really seems to deliver on the health front, too. I was actually struck by a review from Kendra in Delaware. She mentioned her partner had a really bad lingering cough.
Oh, right.
He went and sat in the Lugano for 20 minutes, and she reported that it significantly reduced his coughing almost immediately.
And that makes perfect physiological sense. The deep, penetrating heat of the FAR infrared waves helps to increase blood flow and can act to open up and relax the airways.
Wow.
That kind of tangible respiratory and muscular relief is exactly why people are willing to invest in these units.
We also have great data from the sources on the durability and the customer service, which is vital when you are dropping this kind of money. A user named Woody reported using his sauna regularly for nearly 2 years. His remote control eventually failed, which, happens with electronics in hot environments, but he noted that Dynamic Saunas customer service replaced it quickly without a fuss.
That's great. And then there's Andrew from New York. His experience was a bit rockier. Just a month into owning it, his main power supply completely died.
Which is highly frustrating when you just spent thousands of dollars.
Oh, incredibly. But Andrew noted that the manufacturer quickly identified the problem over the phone and shipped a brand new power supply unit out to him within a week.
That's a pretty fast turnaround.
It is. He still gave the sauna a 5-star review because they stood firmly behind the product and fixed it fast. That 5-year warranty they offer actually seems to hold real weight.
Now, for balance, it's not all sunshine and sweating. We have to look at the flip side. I saw a review from Chris H. in Colorado who was incredibly upset. He claimed the wood was cheap quality, and he said he actually stepped right through the base floorboard of the sauna while he was trying to install it.
That is a severe structural failure. However, looking at the aggregate data across all the sources, Chris's experience seems to be an extreme outlier, perhaps a defective unit or mishandling during shipping.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The vast majority of the 158 reviews praise the solid, heavy construction. In fact, to counter Chris, you have users like Lisa from Connecticut, who not only assembled the sauna once, but loved it so much that when she moved to a new house, she successfully disassembled the entire 350-pound unit, transported it in a truck, and reassembled it without breaking a single piece.
Wow.
You absolutely cannot do that with cheap, flimsy wood.
So, assuming you aren't doing jumping jacks on the floorboards during assembly, it seems to be built like a tank. This raises an important question. Who is the perfect fit for this? If you're listening to this and wondering if you should pull the trigger on a Lugano, who is the ideal buyer?
Synthesizing the technical specs, the physics of the heat, and the real-world feedback, the ideal buyer is a couple or a single individual who wants a spacious, low EMF daily sweat session.
Right.
It's perfect for someone who prefers a rectangular unit that can tuck neatly against a flat wall in a basement or a garage, and who appreciates the added physiological benefit of those foot reflexology heaters. It really is a fantastic mid-tier investment for serious wellness enthusiasts.
But let me look right at you, the listener, and give you the deal breakers, plain and simple. If you are buying this because you genuinely want to host 3 adults at the exact same time for a social sweat, do not buy this. You will be miserable and cramped.
Absolutely.
Secondly, and much more importantly, if you are renting an apartment or if you're home's electrical panel is maxed out and you absolutely cannot hire an electrician to hardwire a new 20 amp outlet, this is not the product for you. You literally will not be able to turn it on safely.
Those are the hard boundaries. You just have to respect the electrical requirements and the physical space limitations.
So wrapping up our overall verdict, if you have the floor space and you can handle the 20 amp plug situation, the Dynamic Saunas Lugano is a stellar home wellness investment. It delivers excellent, even FR infrared heat that penetrates deeply into your tissues.
Yeah, it's built with superior thick Canadian Hemlock construction that traps the heat and saves on your energy bill, and it's backed by highly responsive customer service and a solid 5-year warranty.
It manages to check almost all the critical boxes for a premium home spa experience without the absolute top-tier luxury price tag.
It really does.
Absolutely. So if you're ready to transform your basement or your spare room into a personal, deeply relaxing spa, you can buy the Dynamic Saunas Lugano 3-person sauna right now at the link in the description below.
You know, before we wrap up, looking at all this data about the Lugano leaves me with a broader, almost sociological thought to ponder.
Oh, really? What's that?
Historically, if you look back at different cultures, the traditional Finnish saunas, the Roman baths, the Turkish hammams, these were highly social communal spaces.
Right, they were public bathhouses.
Exactly. They were the bustling center of a community where people gathered, talked, debated, and connected while they sweat.
Sweating used to be a group activity. It was where you caught up on the town gossip.
It was. But now, with incredible efficient products like Lugano, we're taking that ancient concept and turning wellness into this hyper-personalized, completely isolated daily biohack.
Wow, that's true.
You sit in your basement, alone, enclosed in a wooden box, listening to your own private Bluetooth speaker. It makes me wonder, as we optimize our biology at home, are we gaining the ultimate physical convenience at the invisible cost of our community connection?
That is a fascinating trade-off to think about as you sit in the dark, soaking up those infrared rays. Are we healthier but lonelier? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the claims, keep learning the science, and whatever you decide, enjoy your newly informed wellness journey.